Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for March 3rd through 10th, 2025. Well, we're just coming off of this very powerful planetary alignment in Pisces, an energy for this last week's Pisces new moon, speaking to moving into a new timeline. We've got Saturn that has recently come out of retrograde shadow in Pisces and moving forward into new territory, basically rewriting the trauma stories of the Piscean age. Now, in order to rewrite the stories of the Piscean age, we need to experience them a bit. So there's an energy of trying to be, no matter what's happening in your life right now and the struggles we're going through, to be open to a feeling of gratitude for what's playing out that's coming from deep in your subconscious, that's been keeping you sick, even though it doesn't really belong to you. It's not who you are. Okay. A lot coming up around false identity constructs that we've been fed in order to keep us from ever searching for who we really are. And yet we're finding it. And that's exactly everything the astrology is talking about. So for that Pisces new moon, we had just had Mercury interacting with the node, or with the Jupiter square, coming into square with Jupiter in conjunction with Saturn in Pisces. So square with Jupiter in Gemini, conjunction with Saturn in Pisces. Now the sun is taking his turn, making those moves, and the sun is in exact square with Jupiter March 3rd, and will come into conjunction with Saturn on the 13th of March. So this is all about moving forward with this new story, which was that we can't go forward without having the truth that was cut out of the old story in order to create a trauma-based story. So we're really getting out from under the trauma stories, and we've gotten the message again and again that we cannot move out of the Piscean age without also claiming the miracles and magic, the Christ consciousness. So Saturn in Pisces, now out of retrograde shadow, is the beginning of the Christ consciousness timeline, a rebirth. Now, there isn't a stronger message around this than the upcoming retrogrades with Mercury and Venus. So Mercury and Venus are both taking a retrograde in March, in the moving into Aries and then back into Pisces and then back into Aries. So 3 passes over that Aries point where the Christmas star was at the time of the birth of Yeshua, saying, so there was basically, Rudolf Steiner talks about a shift that happened at the last shift of ages. And what it was like what the story that played out planted a seed in the consciousness of the etheric body of Earth. So that at the beginning of the Piscean age, there was an energy of Christ consciousness available in the etheric body of Earth because of the messages and the existence of Christ consciousness and the story of Yeshua, showing us what's possible for all of us and coming into the true human potential. So the Christ consciousness timeline, re-stimulating that, rebirthing that, is about us coming into those abilities that Yeshua said we could do, what he could do and more. Coming into this light body, into the higher potential of the human. And so everything is speaking to this, that we've got to pick up where we left off. We've got to go back and get back to the impulse of the spiritual impulse that came in. Now, what happened after that spiritual impulse at the beginning of the Piscean age, it was all trauma, drama, trying to fight against that impulse, and to the point where of extreme tyranny that we're experiencing displayed in our world today. It's all really around restricting the freedom, because if we had the freedom we would find out mental, spiritual freedom, financial freedom, we would have the space and time to explore and find out who we really are. And we are free energy. And we are so powerful, and we, by birthright, deserve our experience of moving forward in our spiritual evolution, and we're owning it right now. And that's exactly the same of activating our field and coming into our higher power. So, there's a strange energy right now, a glitchy energy, but also a magical energy. So there's a little bit like, oh, got to go backwards in order to go forwards, because this is such a strange, rare, beautiful, scary, dynamic astrology, right? Because we're coming out of Mars retrograde and yet moving into Venus and Mercury retrograde. So we've got Mars is now direct, but still at 17 degrees Cancer, where he turned on the 24th of February. So Mars is a big deal this week when Mars makes it to 18 degrees on the 9th of March. And so that's like, okay, coming out of the dark hole that he dug for himself, the masculine, that was really his way to dig his way back to mother consciousness and alignment and blessing and gratitude and reverence, where we all must come. If we need to come back to the feminine and we need to come back to mother in order to get to the next place, then we've got to come back to that nurturing and to this understanding that the feminine energy is about access to creation energy, and we want to approach that with reverence and mutual reciprocity, gratitude, and celebration. Like every single indigenous culture that ever existed on Earth lived in this way, so we're called back to this. And, really, because the message is that it's Mother's ascension. It's Mother Earth. She's a sentient, living being, goddess, but she's a representation, an embodiment of the Great Mother. And so it's such a beautiful experience, availability for this experience of intimacy, which you could also see in connecting with Mother Earth, feeling held and loved and safe in this experience, feeling like you have a mother that cares for you, and feeling this beautiful vibration of abundance that is also one and the same as speaking and being in communication and awareness of the primary waters under the ground in the earth. So this Mars retrograde is about going back into the mother energy to align fully and completely that our warrior, our masculine, our strength, our confidence, our ability to act and protect and stand strong, that is had to get in alignment with mother in order to be strong, in order to be confident. And this is so much of the SuperNova story. We've been cut off from our will, feeling like it's just so hard to connect with moving forward with what we want and what's best in our life. And so that has to do with all the programming from our past lives of fear of our own power. And so what's happening as we move closer and into our power, these things of course are being triggered. So if you took a big action in your life and connected your will to your spiritual power, there's a feeling, a subconscious fear that it could cause harm to others, destruction or whatever, And yet when we align, okay, so this is what Mars retrograde has done. It's about taking all parts of ourselves. Our feminine's been aligning. The masculine side of us had to go back and get down in the dirt, fall down, get injured, just injured, the wounded warrior on the battlefield, to find back that connection to the mother and be held and feel that felt loved, But once the warrior has that alignment, then he can fight because he knows he's always fighting for what's right and good and true, always, because he's in alignment. He feels the mother with him. And guess what? When you get into alignment and you start healing your body, self-care to the point where you can start feeling the mother in your own body, because her body's our body. Gaia is all living beings. She says this: work with your connection to me through your body. Self-care for your body is how you love me. It's so beautiful and win-win. And so this is an opportunity to love the mother and come back to the mother by taking care of our sacred goddess temple, each of us that we've been given by, existing in this sacred form that can host spiritual light, It's really quite special. And this is going to be a big part of the evolution of consciousness moving forward is health. That has to do with the south node of the moon in Virgo. So we're cleaning it all up and cleaning up our bodies, and at that also cleaning up the earth. So by listening, when as you detox and heal and clear and come into this communication with the mother, you cannot go against the higher frequency dream of what has been created for you through your prayers and meditations and love and past life work and everything. You can't. So what happens is that your body will start getting sick if you're going against the mother. And it's quite traumatic. It's almost like an ejection, a rejection. And it's giving us an opportunity to fight for our own body, to take hold of this sacred form and say it's been given to us, and this is so much of the energy of this backdrop that we're feeling with Mars in an extended long square with Chiron in Aries. And Chiron in Aries is deep wounds where we've given our power away. So it's this battle to take back our energy. And it's crazy because Mars squared up with Chiron at the first time in October of 2024, and then the beginning of February, and then the third and final time will be the last week of March. So through the last week of March, it's just this kind of energy of the third and final pass of Mars square Chiron. It's like now we take back our power. Now the warrior has been recharged by the mother's connection, feels in alignment and ready to enact the will, to be strong, to move energy in the world because mom's with you and holding you because you're listening to your body, you're detoxing, you're loving, you're caring for yourself. And so that third and final square from the 24th to the 30th of March of Mars and Chiron is about taking back our energetic free power. This is what supernova souls are found in, that we didn't know we were, but we've been programmed in so many different ways and manipulated. And the effect is that our energy has been fed upon. And we have some serious energy available to us as advanced supernova souls. Our creation energy and our ability to project imagery and be co-creators, and that was hijacked. And it's really sad, and it feels like a deep failure. There's sorrow, about these things that have kept us from being on our true path and kept us from connection to Mother. So Mars going direct in a Cancer is going to bring up all these griefs, all these regrets, all this feeling of like, oh, like the wounded warriors, like wakes up on the battlefield, it's like all the blood and destruction, and what was won? Was there anything won by the battle? And then this feeling of realizing that, he thought he was fighting for the mother and for the good, but he, also this energy had been hijacked, this divide and conquer throughout time, pitting us against each other, rather than so that to make sure we don't see the common enemy of these controlling forces that want to keep us from our spiritual evolution, but it's just not working anymore. Are you feeling it? It's taking hold. And what's required or requested of you is to, as much as you can, be in the energy of what it is you want to create. Tell yourself a different story. This is the thing. It's like it's shifting now. We're rewriting Saturn's role in our life. We're reconnecting to that original Christ consciousness timeline. It's a restart, reawakening, readjustment, some sort of reprogram that's allowing us to move forward in a completely different way. And so this is that's kind of where we come to this strange dynamic energy, because Mars is direct but square with Chiron. And Venus and Mercury are now starting to move into their retrograde energies. So we're like moving forward, but it's like, not so fast, or go backwards and forwards, or go around in circles a few times, or glitchy that way, back and forth, switchbacks on a very steep trail, and you can't see through the trees for the forest, and you can't see the view until you get to the top. This is kind of the energy of these next couple of months as these retrograde energies work out, because these energies are going from Aries, cardinal sign, the beginning of the zodiac, Pisces, mutable sign, the end of the zodiac. you know? So cardinal signs are about starting something new, rebirth, and the mutable signs are about adjusting. So we're adjusting to the rebirth, and the adjustment to the rebirth is this crazy path over the Aries point, and all this interaction between Mercury and Venus and the other bigger, slower moving planets, Saturn and Neptune, that will be going over the Aries point retrograding as well later in the year. So they're interacting, and the north node of the moon is at the end of Pisces. So we've got, and Saturn will be coming into that placement. So it's just this massive activation of the end of Pisces and the beginning of Aries. And so know that we're going back and forth, glitchy. You gotta kind of go, and it might be way swinging into real old patterns where you're just like, but just keep breathing and loving and knowing that it's all unfolding perfectly in the perfect way to show you what's deeply recessed still in your subconscious, you know? That energy is going to be so helpful, and knowing that it's all playing out perfectly in order for you to completely drop these old stories, right? It's like, okay, back again, back again. And it's almost like we've, you know, you could look at it like the Mayan calendar of concentric circles, or you could look at it like you're going, you know, the retrograde pathway of like kind of going back and forth in a timeline to kind of get adjusted to the new. That's definitely the energy. So your life might feel like it's all over the place, and then you have these moments of glory. But she says, can you just know that that one moment of glory, you can extend it by 17 seconds and reprogram your brain and your whole psyche, you know, just by lying to yourself for a little while? Because we're trying to lie to ourselves and just be positive and have gratitude for a long time, but we were being harassed and poisoned and oppressed, you know, deliberately to keep our consciousness down, you know. So now there's a break in the clouds, you know, of these new spectrum of light that's been hidden from us trying to come in, and we can step up and leap into it and tell ourselves a different story and just really know that we're in charge of our consciousness. We're that powerful, right? And that's what the work of Dr. Emoto has showed us, that the subconscious water can represent our subconscious. And so when we look at the energies of water, how we can tell water what to feel, and it expresses it in a water crystal as it's freezing, you know? And so we can tell the waters of our body. They always respond. And we can tell our subconscious a different story. Like, I'm safe and loved and held. There's this most beautiful life unfolding in front of me, even if it doesn't look like it right now. I have a glimmer and a glimpse of the joy and the possibilities that are coming. It is absolutely required for us to fake it till we make it on this level, because the forces that are sending a different subset of gloom and doom, it can never change, impossible, we're all screwed, like that is so strong right now in the collective consciousness, and we have to battle that by being deliberate. And what if it is like, okay, in the deep breathing, the breath of life, you know, breathing the regenerative properties of, and the oxygenation and the hydration that's available through deep breathing and connecting to the mother. And this is so powerful, and just this kind of little glimpses of a new possibility beyond what we can imagine. And then little by little establishing our vibration in that place. It's okay just to have a glimpse right now. And if you can hold it for 17 seconds and you try 17 minutes, 17 hours, that'd be fun. So this is the dynamic times we're in. It's almost like these energies of all these retrogrades and stuff are bringing some solutions to make it a little bit more harmonious. But it's also kind of all over the place. That feeling of the pendulum swinging back and forth to extremes. And this has to do with Uranus, a very powerful sextile between Saturn and Uranus. Now, Saturn is such poised and such a powerful place right now, because like we said, Mercury last week went over Saturn, and now the sun is going to go over Saturn on the 13th, the sun exact square with Jupiter today, calling out our voice, our expression. What's been hidden, the secrets, and what's been suppressed within us must come forward in order to click into the new timeline, right? So that your ideal optimal that you're wanting to create and co-create by your vibration is also requires or connected to the expression of what's been hidden within you. Okay, they go hand in hand, I guess. And that is so powerful if we look at this astrology, because Saturn is now at 20 degrees Pisces, and Saturn is in sextile to Uranus, beginning to come into sextile with Uranus. Now, the exact sextile of Saturn in Pisces and Uranus and Taurus will be from March 28th to April 13th, but we'll feel it all the way into May. And this is so powerful, and we need to remember that this backdrop is here, because this is the little the ghost in the machine, the little glitch in the matrix that kind of like, it's like, ooh, broke through the firmament enough for this new hue of light, the pinks and the blues that have been hidden from us, the organic full spectrum of life that's been taken from us through this gloom and doom and oppressive techniques, very deliberate techniques, vibration, frequency, poisoning. So this glimpse of these new hues is like a crack in the code, a crack in the matrix, and you can kind of, there's this continued message from Mother to we have to reach up and grab it. The timeline might be right there, but we have to reach up and grab it. We have to say yes to that frequency. We have to say yes to the leap. We have to take a chance, perhaps. One of the scariest things after being a supernova soul and being so blocked for so long is to have a manifestation come through. And it's like, whoa, it can happen so fast. And is it what I really wanted? Am I using my power correctly? Is it a trap or a trick? So this is the delicate and interesting place that we're at, and that's exactly this sextile. So it's exciting that we're being given this opportunity to work this through. So it's saying the new timeline that we're talking Saturn's representing right now of putting the Christ consciousness back in the Christ consciousness timeline, putting the soul of earth or Yeshua back into the earth, and our true essence being able to incarnate in the power that we are, in the higher self that we are, our bigger self landing home. We've been getting messages about this all along, and now it's starting to happen. So Saturn and sextile to Uranus is so powerful because we had a trigger of some miracles and magic when Jupiter and Saturn were in these signs, where Jupiter was in Taurus and Saturn was in Pisces. And so that last year, this sextile and this energy of that sextile between Saturn and Jupiter about generational change it's always a magical turning point where like a release of blessings. And this is kind of a lot of how I'm seeing healing these days. We know that people need to want and ask for the healing. We're not going to just go and offer it, but sometimes, we've gotten this picture of this overflowing cup, and that there can be a miracle healing energy in the field, and whoever might be able to receive some of that miracle healing energy, it's there for them, and this is kind of our prayer, a good prayer in the world right now, that energy is available for us, and it's available as an overflowing cup for those around us, in the powerful energy understanding of that, the mother, connecting to the mother that we're talking about, this love, this intimacy, this beautiful feeling of being held and connected, is also access to the understanding and the mechanisms and the technologies that have been hidden within us of dematerialization and rematerialization. Things can just adjust because nothing's really solid the way they've told us and it looks like it is, So we're not as stuck as they want us to think we are. And when you're in alignment with a mother, you can see these great possibilities. But you move into that energy and you might get triggered into that fear of your own power to create, because none of your creations and manifestations and prayers have been answered in like so long, Or if they were, it was all skewed and difficult and hard to navigate. And so it's such a potent time where it's like, wait, so back and forth between these no possibilities, extra possibilities, and maybe that's the snake, like being able to transmute and transform and shed the skin of the old and recognize the old. And it's okay to be in the old for a little while because you know that you'll be catapulted back into the new. And that's scary in itself too, right? That's what I'm seeing in supernova. So it's like, what if souls' lives. It's like, what if then things start working out? Then how to move in that energy after being so blocked at every turn? And so, doesn't it make sense? The universe is gifting us this time of adjustment to prepare for the new, to figure out back and forth how to make it up this mountain of Earth ascension. And she says, it's my ascension and you're just along for the ride. Hold my hand. Let's go. We're together. We've got to be connected with her. So when Yeshua said, like, you can't get there except through me, we cannot live except for being born through a mother, through a human, true human soul. We've got to come through a mother. And that's what we must go through to get back home and into the next incarnation of Earth. It's like we're really just transforming and transmuting, that things can change before your eyes in the blink of an eye. We know we're feeling this kind of anticipation, uncomfortable feeling that everything old is falling away. Let yourself just feel that things are just strange, and it's maybe about coming to understand that we're in a simulation, except for that if we're in a simulation, then you're also can become in control of the simulation. And that's this place that we're at, that can we have this, if we as enough humans have our connection to Mother Earth and that organic consciousness, our organic living Earth, rather than the AI version of reality. If enough of us are connected into that organic ascension, then we move forward on that path. And that's what kind of we're waiting for. We've got to be with her in order to make this transition. So supernova souls, we are here to bring them home to her. But how can we do that if we don't feel worthy to deserve this love in our own hearts and souls? So, this sextile between Saturn and Uranus is kind of highlighting all of the quintessential issues and opportunities for supernova souls. New timeline where we're reinfusing the magic back in a relationship with Uranus, our higher power, access, permission to access our higher power and technologies. In Taurus, about embodying, finding permission, overcoming the shame and the low self-worth, and embodying this higher technology in our body. So it's Earth's ascension and our embodiment. Because really, it's like we're turning to light. Because going back to Rudolf Steiner, he talked about that at the time of the birth of Jesus, Yeshua, there was a change in the etheric body of Earth. The life body of Earth had new possibilities for Christ consciousness. We could access it, right? And so then if that was the shift at the last shift of ages, then now what are we doing at this shift of ages, right? And that's what we're talking about. And so he talked about our future being about turning to light. We're turning our bodies to light, and we're turning the earth to light. The earth is turning to light, And so we literally are embodying this robe of light. And that seems to be this Christ consciousness. That robe of light seems to be also this deep connection with the mother, an activated field where you can manifest, levitate, recreate, drive your spaceship, whatever you need to do. With these higher powers that are available to us. So we're jimming the lock on the higher technologies that have been stolen from us, our history, our identities. Our true identities have been stolen, our history, and the higher technologies. And these, you can't get one without the other. Do you see? So which comes first? The true identities of supernova souls? Or the free energy technology? Or do we just turn our light on and say, if it's too hot, get out of the kitchen? So this is a very, very interesting time where we know all this shifting and change needs to happen, but how is it going to happen? How do we reconcile? This is a powerful sextile because Saturn in square to Uranus that we were feeling a couple years ago was about, why haven't we been seeing the changes in our world to represent all of the upgrades that we've supposedly gotten spiritually, right? The harmonic convergence and the 2012 and like these energies of change in the frequency that we can feel, but we're not seeing. Our physical world hasn't shown the evidence so much. And so that's exactly, now that these planets are in sextile, that's what this is about. It's like, oh yeah, no denying it. It's going to start to get so weird that we have to talk about how weird it is. When we talk about how weird it is, all of our constructs of what we thought life and reality is begin to crumble. And it's frightening. It's very frightening. And that's why Supernova Soul, you went through that before everyone else. So you can hold their hand. And you might be like, whoa. But what's happening is you're falling down a flight of steps right now. It's like you've been lost out in the ethers. And then you realized and you got your cord home to mom. And then you're being pulled in. But the entry in is, down the steps, up the steps, up the steps, down the steps, And so that's what we're going to be doing as we uncover the deep mysteries of ourselves. We uncover they're underneath the trauma drama stories, so that shit has got to get triggered. And there's grief around it because we've got all this Pisces energy and all this, and Mars in Cancer. So Mars is going to be trining as we have all these energies of triggering at the end degrees of Pisces. Mars is going to come in and trine that as he comes out of retrograde over the next month. And so it's so beautiful because with the sextile of jimmying the lock on our higher power, that activating the new Christ consciousness timeline is about coming into full permission. Like, have you gone through enough yet to know that you deserve your own power, that you deserve a nice life, that you deserve a beautiful place to be on earth, a beautiful home? So many supernova souls have been struggling in the root chakra, attack energy of basic level security. And that's what we're owning back at a core level. Maybe that's the first step, that needs to change in our lives, that we can be safe and secure on earth, claim that. Earth is safe for us now, which means we got to get rid of that demonic shit, and wow, has it been blooming, and yet we're more protected than we've ever been. So it's very strange, So, what's happening right now is that Mercury, after coming into that last week squared up with Jupiter and then into a conjunction with Saturn right around that Pisces new moon, and then now Venus or Mercury has been in conjunction with the North Node and now Neptune. So Mercury in exact conjunction with North Node and Neptune is talking about this backdrop, Neptune in the North Node, going on for months. This is exact from the 2nd to the 9th of February, but will go on through most of April, the feeling, the energy of this. So Neptune in the North Node is more messages around healing the Piscean age, because we got the vibe that Neptune in Pisces was about rewriting and rehashing a Piscean age so that we could claim back the miracles and drop the trauma stories, right? And that's what we're doing, because in the North Node is, how are you going to get to where you're going? What is the path that's going to take you to where you're going? What is the way you're going? And Pisces is reclaiming spiritual magic in our lives, and spiritual service and connection and love and healing. Everything that was persecuted in the Piscean age, see? It's exactly what we're going to have a massive rebirth of. So all that was wrong about you in the Piscean age is incredibly right about you and for the Aquarian age. Talk about schizophrenia, huh? So here we have this energy of incredible alignment. Mars going back home to Mother. The North Node, our true North, back to our spiritual purpose. The North Node and Neptune. And so Mercury interacting with the North Node and Neptune is triggering this connection and triggering this energy of the only way forward is to reclaim our spiritual truth, our spiritual energies, So maybe that's the tension of what the Sun in square with Jupiter is saying, what needs to be expressed, And it is this new way forward with our miracles, healing, and magic intact. And dropping the trauma stories, right? So when the sun hooks up to Saturn on the 13th, it's a big deal because that is also the energy around the Virgo full moon lunar eclipse. We're coming into eclipse season. Now we are officially in eclipse season. having the last Pisces new moon was the first lunation, the lunation before, so that kind of moves us into the energy of eclipse season. And our first eclipse is a Virgo full moon lunar eclipse on Friday, March 14th. That's happening and at 23 degrees Virgo, 57 minutes. And so that puts it very close to the nodes of the moon, which are at 26 degrees right now. And so just 3 degrees away from, and almost 2 degrees away from the a total exact. So a very powerful lunar eclipse. And that Virgo energy is the first eclipse of the nodes having switched signs. So on January 12th, the nodes of the moon moved from Aries and Libra to Pisces and Virgo. And so that shift, what happens is the eclipses happen when the sun and the moon line up with the nodes of the moon. And you could see the sun and the moon almost like, they keep time for us. In like you could see it as the hour hand and the minute hand of our reality. And so when the lining up happens at the hour, top of the hour, or the different alignments, it means it's time for something. And so think about that, because it's time. Everything is saying it's time. It's aligning, which means it's time. And so this eclipse is very powerful, being the first one that's happening in the signs that the nodes are in now. So it's an almost exact lunar eclipse in Virgo, where the moon will be next to the south node. And the south node in Virgo is about healing and cleaning up and sorting through the earth. It's like an earth rebirth and healing and cleaning up the earth. And so that south node in Virgo, south node is what's holding you back, what karmically might be holding you back from moving forward into the future. And that's this mess we haven't cleaned up. Like, are we going to talk about how lied to we've been over these last years? Are we going to talk about this whole fiasco of all this money that's been stolen from us? Or are we going to just keep going through our lives as if it's not happening, And so some point this reconciles, and I think we have a lot of harmony and support and push for disclosure of more truths. This disclosure, us understanding who we are, and also the history and the technology that's been stolen from us. And so it's like we've got to be ready to receive that level of technology and understanding in our own body before it can be really available for the mass consciousness. And that's what we're working on. And that's what the Saturn sextile Uranus is. And it all has to do with our self-worth. Maybe we had to go through hell, have everything, lose everything, in order to just feel worthy of the abundance that we need to carry in the world. We have to carry this abundance. We are the only ones, supernova souls, that have the appropriate, the prepared, designated, resonant, holy grail to hold the spiritual blessings of this world. We are the container that holds this blessing until the rest of the world can receive it. So we've got to be first to drop the shame and first to step into the abundance and hold that cup, the overflowing cup. Really beautiful images of that in these last couple activations. So the last very powerful energies of setting ourselves free in this last Pisces new moon activation. Clear messages about how do we drop and where do we find and what is in our deep subconscious that's been keeping us from moving forward. And now it's time to clean it up, says Virgo South Node. So all of this is happening and aligning and talking about supporting us in moving into something completely new, into being on the edge. We've got the message, supernova souls, that we are on the edge, the cutting edge of this spiritual ascension, leading the way. And now we're finding out that that simply means demonstrating and embodying the abundance that's possible for us. Whew. So yeah, it's a big turnaround, and maybe these next retrograde season, upon the other retrograde season we're just coming out of, is going to help us, actually. We'll just have to and see it that way and know that we're being fully prepared in this initiatory process to step into that full abundance and full celebration and joy of life. We've got to claim this back. So the Virgo full moon lunar eclipse is Friday, March 14th, like we said, and then 2 weeks later, the Aries new moon solar eclipse at 9 degrees Aries exactly. So 9 degrees Aries is the last eclipse with the nodes in Aries and Libra, and 9 degrees is the end, a completion of a cycle at exactly 9. Very, very powerful energy, and that is right where Mercury turned a retrograde at 9 degrees Aries. So Mercury will be retrograding back at the beginning, moving back into Pisces around the time of that new moon. So that'll be really powerful because it's like a new moon eclipse, but Mercury retrograding back into Pisces, you know. So we'll just keep up with these messages. It's so dynamic, it's so powerful, but it's like zigzag, back, forth, cross, just make it work to get up the mountain. Jimmying the lock on this reality and telling yourself a different story, rising up to grab it, trusting that everything's unfolding beautifully, and you're stepping into that program now and out of the contrived gloom and doom. So this is our task ahead of us, and we do that by taking care of our body and loving ourselves, our physical form, and listening to our body, in order to love the mother and reconnect with the mother. It's a deliberate act of meditation and prayer and ceremony. Life is a ceremony right now. Really great energies in these last couple activations, connecting with our ceremonial team, seeing ourselves moving through life with a ceremonial team, because we're all encountering very threshold type experiences where you can kind of feel this intense energy of a crossroads where it's a little scary to make this choice, but I've got to make the leap. We're being given little opportunities. I think we're going to be, maybe that's it. It's like we're taking one big leap, but this retrograde season coming up is mini leaps to get ready for the big leap, or, one big mini leaps within a big leap. Yeah. And so that lunar eclipse on the 14th will be very powerful in moving us into this next chapter. So we have eclipse season at the same time of these retrogrades, and then it will be the Libra full moon that will be at the middle of April, that will bring us out of out of eclipse season, and the retrograde seasons begin to resolve around then too. So Mercury comes out of retrograde shadow at the end of April, and Venus will come out of retrograde shadow at the middle of May. Venus is direct, though, at April 13th, and, or let me see here. Venus is direct, and so we'll be feeling these changes. As the big things we want to watch for in this retrogrades is as these planets go back and forth. It's a very different experience of these planets at the end of Pisces than at the beginning of Aries. In the end of Pisces, beginning of Aries is kind of, there's not a lot of planets there except for a beautiful sextile with Pluto, but there's a bunch of stuff going on at the end of Pisces. And so it's like, oh, I got to go back and face some music. I got to go clean up where I didn't do it right. I got to go fix what was broken. I got to go apologize. I got to go sit with the mother and tell her how sorry I am for getting so far off track. I got to go tell the people around me that I appreciate, like, even that, the roles they've played, like, I gotta set myself free. So these are the types of things that are coming up over these next couple of months, and it's a really, really powerful and beautiful opportunity. So let's talk through the timing of this, because Venus has moved into Aries on the 5th of February, back into Pisces at the end of March. So March, we've got Venus in Pisces, and now Mercury is just moved into Aries on the 4th of March, and then we'll move back into Pisces on April 2nd. So, and then back into Aries on April 17th. And Venus back into Aries on May 1st. So those are really powerful markers, April 17th and May 1st, because that's our rebirth moments. And it's kind of like, it feels like getting a running start, maybe. These retrogrades are getting a running start. So we want to pay close attention to the energies as these planets begin to come out of their retrogrades. And we feel that because Mercury will turn retrograde on the 15th of March at 9 degrees Aries. Venus turned retrograde on the 2nd of March at 10 degrees Aries. Okay. And then Venus retrogrades back to 24 degrees Pisces. Mercury retrogrades back to 26 degrees Pisces. I mean, it's crazy. So they're 1 degree apart at turning and 2 degrees apart at at turning direct. 1 degree apart at turning, as far as where they turn retrograde, and 2 degrees apart from where they turn direct. So that means that we're going from the 1 to the 2, we're going to collaboration, and the 1, 2, 3, accessing creation energy, 3, 2, 1, let's go. All these messages again and again. So pay attention to that. These energy, we'll talk about it as we move through these retrogrades. But this week, Mercury went into shadow on the 1st and goes into Aries on the 4th. And it's interesting because we've got this rebirth energy with Venus and Aries and Mercury and Aries. It's like, oh, and then the sun will move into Aries on the 20th, 21st. And so, but it's a false start, jumping the gun, right? Because it's going to be intense when Mercury and Venus go back into Pisces, right? So Venus back into Pisces in April, for the month of April, and Mercury is back in Pisces for the first 2 weeks of April. So the first 2 weeks of April, I think, is going to be kind of like the reckoning, homecoming, like, all right, what are we doing here? Because we also have Mars coming out of retrograde shadow. Mars moves into this, Mars is direct now and moves into the sign of Leo on the 19th of April. So that's right around that same time. And that's going to be super dynamic to have all of our personal planets going from intense work in the end of the water sign of Cancer and Pisces and back into the fire signs, right? It's like, and just a triumphant return to power and confidence. When Mars is retrograde, we've got deep insecurities around decision making, moving forward, who we are, whether we're strong enough, or like what, the role we play. Then Venus retrograde is deep, deep, deep insecurities about love and care and whether we deserve and, whether we can feel safe and nurtured. And so it's really intense to have a Mars retrograde and a Venus retrograde, right on after the Mars retrograde. So just go easy with yourself and know that we're rewriting reality and bringing a glitch to the matrix so that it can just disintegrate and we can step into the dream. And the matrix disintegrating is kind of like, yeah, but then what, right? That's why it's hard to let go when things are falling apart. But if we're there in Mother's Garden, holding ourselves, holding the moment, holding our body, holding the people around us, holding our tone, Mother's Garden is here. We're going to go back to that, that's the reset. All of the energies of the realm, her realm, available for what's right and good and true. The common law, the law of the land, that we take care of the individual for the betterment of the whole. And really feel into at the same time the role and the energy of what's within each individual and what they can offer, and bring forward these gifts to have life have meaning again, to bring back that joy that comes from purpose. And we've been striving and trying to bring together the pieces. And it's like this world, we can't create. For a long time, we haven't been able to create in this world. We've been kind of trapped in too low of a frequency. And now, so we're moving into, that's really the new phase, is these co-creations. And we've got that Saturn sextile Uranus that's exact from March 28th to April 13th. So that leads us into the whole shift that happens in the second part of April, is the Saturn sextile Uranus, jamming the lock on our access to higher power in order to infuse our new timeline with Christ consciousness, to own it, to grab it, to live it, to breathe it, to know it. And so that's going on. And also at the same time, we've got Mars in trine to Saturn. So Saturn is sextile Uranus, and then Mars is trine Saturn. And that is from the end of January all the way through the third week of April as well. So something's happening right there. The second part of April, that's that's where we see the manifestation of the inner work that's been done. And so that's, so Mars is we know, in a long-standing square with Chiron, but also a trine with Saturn. It's so beautiful. And so that also means that Mars is in a sextile relationship with, a sextile relationship with Uranus in Taurus. So this is very powerful because it speaks to this, and the South Node in Virgo will be kind of making a kite shape here, because it's a beautiful possibilities and opportunities coming together, these configuration, because it's like, yes, we have to break the chains and take back our power and own it and align and fight for the goddess again. But it's harmonized and supported through the water, through the movement, through the love, through the compassion. Where can I bring more love? Where can I bring more compassion? And so that's that Mars trine Saturn, harmonizing, bringing even more harmony to the sextile, supporting the sextile of us coming back into our higher power, claiming back our energy, coming back into our higher power. And then the other backdrop that's going on is that Neptune conjunct the North Node. And that is happening, like we said, through that, into that third week of April. So gosh, Mars trine Saturn is the effect is really through April 19th. Neptune conjunct the North Node through April 17th. 17th is when Mercury moves back into Aries. And we have the resolution of the Mars retrogrades and the Venus retrograde as well, kind of coming to fruition. We've got the third and final square of Mars with Black Moon Lilith. And so all of that's happening in that last bit of April. And so that's really where we go, okay, we're going back and forth, way back, way forward, whoa, whoa, and then click, right? So we'll explore that. Like, is this eclipse season a click into gear? Like, because the nodes are in new signs, and maybe the Virgo new moon, is speaking to this, right? So that means the clicking into gear is cleaning it up. So we'll just watch these energies as they unfold, but to have this eclipse season, as well as these retrogrades on the heels of this Mars retrograde, it's incredibly dynamic time. Really all going back to the Saturn square Jupiter, saying that we're turning the wheel of time. That's a generational timekeeper, so it's like those hands of the wheel come together, arms of the clock come together, and it's like ding dong, the bell is ringing. And in this place, it's a square, so it's like, we got to turn the wheel. This is what we need to do to move time forward in the way we want. And that means we've got to tell the truth of who you are in the moment. Be in your authentic self. It's safer now, but this is what we're navigating, and we're bringing forward the truth by being the truth, being an authentic truth. And if you're connected to the mother through your own body, you have to be an authentic truth, because your body will revolt and have and basically oust you from any situation that's not in alignment, if you're going against that grain, the true north, the level of connection, beautiful intimacy of our loving mother that's taking care of us and wants to take care of us through this experience. So hold that vibration, hold that love, mother's garden, just be there, breathe it into existence, try to focus and hold that frequency and in your authentic self and your energy as much as possible. Now, it's like taking these little holes in the lower frequency matrix and reaching out to own, know we deserve, claim, and reprogram our whole being into that more positive vibration of possibilities. Thank you for your work. So important what you're doing here. So if you go back down to the dungeon of the Piscean age, know that it's your very last visit there. Why don't you enjoy it? Why don't you go to all the corners and find anything left that could be triggered? So we can really take that leap. So we're taking little leaps to get ready for the big leap and taking care of ourselves in a dramatic and powerful way as a way to have that worshipful, deep and profound gratitude. When you come into the energy of vibration of the mother, of this divine feminine mystery, miracle, magic, the primary waters, it's a beautiful, beautiful feeling of intimacy, of everything slowing down, time and space aligning. And so the more time we can spend in that field and just understanding that that's the vibrational frequency that moves us through, that energy is abundant, gives us everything we need. And it gives us a feeling that Mother's caring for us. When we're connected in this way, our electromagnetic field is fortified and we're able to magnetically protect ourselves against whatever might be going on out there in the frequency war. So, powerful times and your alignment and your connection back to the mother and to this intimacy, to this love, and treating your body in that way to show reverence. That it's not as easy as in the indigenous cultures to live in a way that's in ceremonial reverence. But when we do it with our body, it's almost like we're doing ritual on the earth in the sacred location, because you are the vortex of this beautiful, magnificent experience. And maybe you can open up to the little bit of that feeling and validation coming into your life of the magical mystery tour that we're really on, not the gloom and doom, dark nightmare in the dungeon, but we're kind of glitching back and forth, between these different realities. So it's essential that we hold on to the vision of what we know is true within our being and just breathe it, love it, live it. Mother's garden, the feeling, you got it. So be there, stay there, and let's meet there. And thank you so much for your support. I appreciate your donations. There's a link to donate in the link below if you appreciate this ad-free, peaceful space. And also being a part of the SuperNova Soul Tribe, coming to these events. We're going to be having a lunar eclipse event, solar eclipse event, soul group session, group intuitive sessions where we look at shared past life pictures, really powerful work. So look out for those events and the activations. Such a great way to support yourself and this work and me. Thank you so much. I'm just honored to be a facilitator of these SuperNova messages. And wow, we are so powerful and so amazing. And it's a glorious future that lies ahead. And don't let anybody tell you different. Don't take the black pill. Pump yourself up in that vibrational frequency if it takes rainbows and unicorns, So let's do this, supernovas. I love you so much, and thank you so much for holding this sacred frequency here for this transition. It's so powerful what you're doing. So I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update, and consider being a part of that SuperNova Soul Tribe to get into every activation for $20 a month. Thank you so much for being with me, being with us on any level, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.